What's up, healthpreneurs? How's it going? Yuri here, along with some of our awesome team. We got Amy in the house, Jackie, and the mystery person in the black box over here. If you're watching this, I'm not going to tell you who it is. You're going to have to figure it out on your own. But no, quite honestly, it's Stephanie. So our mindset results coaches are here, and like always, our second installment of we haven't come up with a name for this segment, have we? Maybe you guys can jump into the comments and let us know what we should call this. But what we want to focus on this week is perfectionism, and why perfectionism is holding not just, we're not saying you personally, we're talking about like people in general, right? And obviously a lot of our clients, whether we're talking about our HBAers or our luminaries or really any other entrepreneur who's trying to create stuff and get stuff into the world, and why that perfectionism is holding them back, and give you guys a couple ideas and insights and strategies to move through perfectionism to actually get stuff done and get it out to the world. So I'm excited to jump into this conversation, guys. So thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about this. I think that everybody. So here's my take on perfectionism, and I don't know where I heard this from or if this is an insight that I developed over time, but perfectionism, in my mind, or from my understanding of it, is we are trying to get things perfect because we, at a core level, we want the approval of other people. And if we don't have that approval of other people, then we're not good enough. And so essentially what perfectionism says is it's never good enough because I'm not good enough. And I think that, if we take that perspective and really, looking at, okay, why are we trying to get this PDF exactly the way it should be? Or why are we like stalling and waiting? Instead of worrying about the work itself, let's kind of work internally a little bit more to understand that we are good enough, right? We're always going to be a couple steps ahead of the people we want to serve, that it's never going to be perfect. And let's just kind of get it out there. So I want to just kind of open this conversation with that in mind. And Jackie, do you want to kick things off with some of the stuff that you see and some of the calls that you do with some of our clients as it pertains to kind of needing to be perfect?
Absolutely. So I'm a recovering perfectionist myself. So I really think it stems from childhood. First child, always did well, always expected to do well, right? So putting the pressure on ourselves is really where it stems from. It goes back to, it's a mindset, it's a choice. And it can lead, and I notice in our clients and my own coaching clients, like, to a paralysis at times, or to being a workaholic, or to never getting something done because, again, it's never good enough, or never moving forward with something because I don't have the next credential. I need to read that next book and then I'll have all the answers, or take that next course, right? The cool thing with our clients is they have a proven system, so we can check that off the list. We have a proven system. Done. Now we just need to chunk out time to put in the action, put in the work, set deadlines, have your coaching accountability calls with us. Done. These are all things that will break you out of this perfectionist habit and keep you on track for really getting the results and allowing you to serve your clients, make a bigger impact, and naturally grow that influence and that confidence again, right? Yeah. So it can do two things negatively, right? It can keep us stuck at where we're at and getting what we're getting, which isn't serving us or the people we want to serve. Or again, it can also not just get us stuck, but we won't even get started. And that's the worst. Like, especially as an entrepreneur or someone who has the ability to really make a difference in the world, to never get started is like hoarding your gift and never sharing it with the world. Then that makes me sad as a coach. Yeah. So that's what I'm noticing right now.
That's awesome. Steph, are you there?
I am here. If you guys can't see me, I'm here.
Hiding in the black box. So there she is. Awesome. You just replaced Jackie. So apparently we can only have 3 on the screen or something at this point. So anyways, talk to us about maybe something personally for you that you've kind of, if perfectionism has been something that has, blocked you at some point in life, and maybe some of the stuff you see with clients.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's so funny because you tell us what you want to talk about or what we're going to be talking about the night before. So I thought about this all night about how many times in the past perfectionism has completely, just like Jackie said, paralyzed me from taking steps forward. And the funny thing about perfectionism is that it's almost like, and Jackie says this sometimes, it's like rocking in a rocking chair. It's like you're doing something, but you're going nowhere. Yeah. So it's like you're fooling yourself into thinking, I'm taking all these steps to get out of this cave of where I want to go because the magic lives out here. So I'm reading every book, taking every certification, perfecting this PDF, blah, 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 doing all this stuff, but you're never doing anything to get out. And the problem with that is that really, so this, for me at least, I think, and many of my clients feel the same way, it's like, once I get it perfected, then I'll have the confidence to actually put it into the world. When really that's not how it works. You actually have to take the action of putting it out, and then you gain the confidence, and then you can do more. So it's like I think people are constantly waiting for this like light bulb to go off, like now it's ready, now I can do it. And it's just never going to happen. You just have to focus on your passion, purpose, mission, why you're doing this, and then allow that to push you forward.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so true. Like this is, and I've talked to you guys about this whole new platform I'm building called the Courage Code, which is, whether we're talking about overwhelm, perfection, moving through fear, it's all the same stuff. It's like, it ultimately is some degree of fear of, oh my God, people are not going to approve of me. And this, guys, this goes back to our primitive wiring, which is still in existence in our brain. Our primitive wiring says that if we don't get approved by our tribe, we're gone. And in caveman times, that meant we're going to die in the wilderness. And that same wiring is still in existence now. So even though we're not moving in tribes around the world, like as nomadic people, we still have a tribe, whether that is our clients that we serve, the people we care about, or even if people, even the worst is people we don't even know who think actually give a shit about us, but don't actually care because everyone's just so self-absorbed. That's just the way humans are. Yet we care so much about what other people think they think about us, and it stops us from moving forward. So guys, it really, like as you mentioned, Steph, it's the confidence doesn't come first. It never, ever, ever comes first. You have to have the courage to move into the unknown, and that's the only way you can build the courage, or sorry, the confidence after that. Mm-hmm. And so the challenge, and this is why I really want to bring these sessions for you guys to understand this, is that we approach life and entrepreneurship backwards a lot of times. We want to see stuff before we believe it. We want to have the confidence before we move forward. We want to have certainty before we take the first step. It doesn't happen like that. I wish it did, but it doesn't. It's the complete reverse. And that's why entrepreneurship is awesome, because we're the ones stepping out on the ledge, right? You guys are stepping out into the unknown based on what you're comfortable with, and that's amazing. And that's why you grow so much in this journey. So it's really awesome. But yeah, great perspective, Steph. Amy, what about you? What do you see when it comes to perfectionism?
Like all of you, I love that I'm a recovering perfectionist, because I've gotten caught paralyzed. Because you know what? I'm good at writing, and I like to create content, and it makes you feel good, right? So what I'm seeing is, and really, Yuri, I've seen just you put your courage out there, or you have the courage to put yourself out there, let's say, and then things are happening. And it doesn't matter if you forgot to change your business here on the bottom of your ClickFunnels page, right? Because really, only people noticing that are other business owners, and if they're seeing that you're successful with forgetting to change that, so what, right? So what I'm seeing a lot is that same thing you talked about. People want the confidence before they have the knowledge. And so if we can go back to even when you guys first spoke with us on the phone, and you took that leap before you were really ready, right? You're taking this leap. It's a leap of faith. The parachute is the HBA. You're not really sure what that's going to look like when it opens up, but you're taking that leap that this parachute's going to open and hold you. So instead of worrying and wondering about the perfectionism, which ends up paralyzing us and not even allowing some of us to get started, or makes everyone stuck in webinar land, right? We're there forever. Right? So you've got to just go back to that. Why did you enroll? remember that you don't know what that parachute looks like, but it's there and you can do this. And so, four things I like you, Stephanie, I spent some time really thinking about this and looking, and four things about perfectionism to remember is it's never going to be perfect. When I first joined the Healthpreneur team, I said, I want to have all my ducks in a row. And Yuri stopped me right there and said, just one thing, you will never have all your ducks in a row. That was wonderful. The second thing is worrying about perfectionism, about being perfect leads to procrastination, right? Because now you don't know what to do. So instead of doing that, what's the next thing I should do? Start, just like Jackie said, right? We don't even start. So if you're wondering what's the next thing you should do, start. Where should I start? Where are you in your modules? That's where you should start, right? And perfect and done is always greater than perfect and incomplete. So if you have an incomplete project, an incomplete webinar, an incomplete, email series, you're not reaching the people. And last but not least, perfectionism is a mask for fear of failure and rejection, which you talked about. And that sure hits home with me because nothing was ever good enough when I was growing up. So, that's what I found in the final quote from Brene Brown that goes with this courage code is courage is contagious. So every time we choose courage, we make everyone around us a little bit better and the world a little bit braver. So take that from Brene Brown and be brave, step out there, be imperfect, and just get it done.
That's great. That's really good insights there, Amy. So I want to share with you guys two little ideas here. One is, okay, so imagine you're walking down a street, and I'm just thinking of Toronto because we have homeless people downtown. So you're walking down the street and you've got a homeless person asking you for money, okay? And out of the goodness of your heart, you decide to give him $1 or $2, or you buy him a coffee or donuts. I don't know. But you decide to do something good for that person, and we don't even think about that. But here's the way I want you to kind of think about this, is what perfectionism looks like is like walking down the street and you've got a homeless person asking you for money. And you're like, no, hold on. Let me go get my stuff in order. Let me go make sure I've got my finances all settled and I've got my estate planned, and then I'll come back to you and then I'll support you when I'm ready. That's kind of what perfectionism is. And the way I want you guys to think about this, if this helps, is think about perfectionism as being selfish. Okay? Let me explain. So every single day you delay doing the stuff that's going to move your stuff forward, move your business forward, moving you out into the world and putting yourself out there is one more day that the people you could potentially be serving are suffering. And this was the big distinction for me years ago, because I actually almost failed graduating university because of procrastination, which wasn't so much tied to perfectionism at the time. It was actually because I was lazy and I didn't want to get out of bed to go to swimming class. So I had to make up 20 hours of swimming in 1 week. And then I had to write a paper on procrastination. So I get what procrastination, it's not, there's reasons we do that. We'll probably do an episode on this in the future on procrastination specifically. But whether it's procrastination or perfectionism or the two of them combined, the more we delay getting our stuff out there, the more we allow the people we want to serve suffer. So think about it this way. If I said I need everything in this program to be 100% perfect before I ever felt comfortable running Facebook ads, none of you guys would be here. And who knows what would be happening. And yes, I mean, there are challenges and there are struggles, and that's part of the journey. But I'd rather you guys be in the boat with us now, kind of doing this together, than you guys trying to suffer on your own. And that's why I continue to say, the beautiful thing about what we're doing and what you guys are doing is it's constantly evolving and it's constantly getting better. So we talked about this. Amy's mentioned this, Jackie's mentioned this, Steph has mentioned this. Perfect is the enemy of done. Right? Just get it good enough. You're always going to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of the people you want to serve, and that's all that matters, right? You can improve things over time, and that's what we've done with this program. Is we've gotten feedback from you guys. We've looked at how do we make this better, how do we help you guys deploy this stuff. I'm currently working on stuff behind the scenes all the time to help you guys do things more effectively. And if it's not live yet, it's going to be live in the coming weeks. And that's just the way I think. And that's just the way I want to approach things to make things more easy and certain for what you guys are working on. So it's never perfect. Just like the perfect car doesn't exist, the perfect phone doesn't exist. It's perfection is like seeking infinity or seeking the horizon. Like it never happens, right? So we're always getting better and better and better and better and better, and we're always getting better upon the better and better, but it's never perfect. Perfect is like infinity. It just we never get there. So just something to think about, guys.
Hey, Yuri, that leads me to a really good point as well. Am I in a box?
No, I think you're in. You're in.
Oh, I'm in.
All right. Steph's in the black box right now.
Sorry, Steph.
I'm in timeout. It's okay.
You're in timeout. The whole piggyback of the infinity, it's, we can strive for excellence. Excellence is a great thing. Excellence is like we're continuing to grow. And, as entrepreneurs, we always need to be sharpening our saw and growing in the right direction. But, procrastination and perfection are literally hand in hand. If you're a perfectionist or you're striving for perfection, you're going to procrastinate. And most of the time people are just looking for the right framework or the right tools to get going, right? And it's like they're going to search. And with media and internet, you could be searching for years and days because there's always going to be something new, right? It's like the latest fad diet. There's always going to be the next fad. Like today's fad is going to be tomorrow's history, and then there's going to be another one to replace it. So the cool thing is you have all the tools. You have a framework. You have every little step to launch a business online that Yuri has handed over to you graciously and, selflessly. And we're here to support you with that. So again, check that off your list. Feel confident about that. It's been proven. It works. And now you just got to take action. Yeah. So we've handled 50% of what would cause somebody to want to be a perfectionist or to procrastinate any longer. So I just want people to really understand that and know it's there. The roadmap's there. The framework's there. Use it. Yeah. Take action and use it.
Well, yeah, that's awesome.
So, Amy, you mentioned the parachute is kind of the program, which is true. And we're kind of like those crazy skydivers that jump out of the plane, hands back, just darting down into whatever, because we have to save somebody, right? So we're kind of like those guys that, you can't get your parachute open, and we fly down to the plane crazy and all. We're like, don't worry, it's all good. We got you, and we'll bring you back up, and it's all good. So anyways, go ahead, Amy.
That's a great example, Yuri. The second time I went skydiving, the guy knew I'd only gone once, and he said, okay, and we're trained on land to jump out, squat down, roll out forward. And instead, he's like, we're going to do something different. And he didn't tell me what. And of course, I'm tandem. So he strapped to me. I'm trusting the parachute, trusting the process. And all of a sudden, he flips me around. I'm no longer facing out to where we're jumping. I'm facing into the plane. And he does a backflip. Oh. And it was awesome. I'm a thrill seeker. I'm a junkie when it comes to that. But you trust the process. You trust the parachute. You use the format. You follow the rules to some degree. But as entrepreneurs, we break the rules, right, Yuri? We're always recreating and paving the way. Once we know it's been proven, then we're sharing it like crazy. Yeah, so. Awesome.
And I think one of the most important things that you just said, Jackie, is take action. Commit to being in action. The action always alleviates anxiety. So we can tell you all this awesome stuff, and Yuri has laid out this super simple system, but if you don't get in that portal and get that work done, the parachute's never going to open. So that is the way to fight that, fear and that uncertainty, and to gain the confidence and the courage is just to commit to being in action, and whatever results you're getting, you can always say, did I take the action, right? Because then you can look at what you did and see where you are. And then when you go back to the system, I have to admit that's what keeps me calm. When I start to get all emotional about things, I'm like, okay, I have a great support in my husband who's like, look at the system, right? So just stay in action, use the system, and it's never going to be perfect.
I want to maybe talk about how perfectionism shows up. What are some symptoms or signs that we might notice in clients and maybe that they're not aware of that we can maybe shed some light on? And two of the ones that just come to mind here, one of them is I need to make my slides look pretty. And I understand there's this whole brand thing we want to build, but honestly, guys, our slides look not pretty. They're white slides with some text and some images. And the most important thing that you have to remember is no one gives a shit about your brand. Like, unless you're at a point where everything you're putting out online is of a certain quality and there's a specific font and color and they recognize your brand, most of us are not at that level. So don't even worry about, the right color palettes and making your slides look amazing and sending your keynote off to some designer who's going to spend a week or two sending it back to you. And then you're like, you know what? I don't like the look of these slides. They're not quite right. None of that stuff matters. The only thing that matters is what is on the slide and how you're presenting the webinar. That is all that matters, because all people care about is, can you help me? Not, wow, your slides look really professional. You must be really good. So that's one thing I see show up. The second thing is this belief that we need to get the program, like your actual coaching program, like done before you can roll out. And I'm telling you, you guys, like, and I've said this every single time I've talked about this, is you only ever have to be 1 week ahead of your first cohort of clients. Do it and build it with them. Because in the process, you're going to run your program once and then your program is done. Then you've created the content and it's 100% done. And yes, you may tweak it over time, but you don't have to shoot all the videos. You don't have to get everything. You don't have to go to a cave and work for months creating all your content before you start enrolling clients. Actually, I find the best, like, I don't know about you guys, but I actually enjoy jumping out of the plane without the parachute and then figuring it out, because that's the biggest motivation for me. And maybe that's just me personally. It's like, what's going to get me out of bed in the morning is the very fact that I have to get this done. So I know that not everyone is like that, but please do not use, I have to get my whole program done before you can start like hitting submit on your Facebook ads. Amy, Steph, Jackie, what do you guys see as other symptoms or signs from some of the people you've spoken to that they might be more in like the safety delay mode, trying to get, or maybe masking it as perfectionism, but they're just maybe scared of moving forward? What are some of the ways that you guys see this showing up?
The dream come true system is a big one. I've talked with many folks just about getting the framework out. So what I hear a lot is, well, I have to do my program, because if I don't have my program completely done, how can I do the webinar? And instead of understanding those big idea questions they haven't seen those yet, right? So we're just looking at that framework so that we know, how do we get these people from their pain to the solution, and yes, just be a week ahead. So that's a huge one that I see. And it's really, the perfectionism piece is self-imposed, and it's subjective. So it's something to remember. We're imposing it on ourselves, and our view of it is our view, right? So I see that's a huge one. I have to get the program done. And I'll think of another one with the webinar, but that's the big one that's coming up right now.
A quick example on that. So as you guys know, I love flying, and usually pilots, before they can leave the gates, have a flight plan, right? So you can't fly somewhere you don't know where you're going. The most important thing is having the flight plan. So the pilots know exactly, okay, we're going to go roughly this route from New York to LA. And that's synonymous with you guys having the framework, your process for how you're going to help clients. Now, what you don't need to worry about now is what's going to happen when we get over the Midwest and maybe there's a thunderstorm, right? We'll figure that out as we get there. Maybe it's unexpected, or maybe as we're coming into the airport, the winds have changed and now there's some sheer downwind forces, all this kind of stuff that is going to have us use a different runway. So we don't need to worry about that right away. We just need to know where we're going and the general path we're going to get there, because that's all you have to communicate with your clients on the phone. Once they've enrolled, then you can figure out all the rest. Jackie, Steph,
and I know.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry to I know that's scary for so many of you. Like, I know so many of you are watching this and being like, yeah, okay, I hear you, but that's really freaky, and I can't do that. I have to do it this way. So another thing that really came to mind is, what is your idea of perfectionism, and how is that relevant for other people, right? So when we're being putting all, and I know I've been guilty of this. Like I've been coaching for 20 years, right? But my body's different. No, it's not. Like, yeah. So yes, we're individuals, but so you're not. Everyone's special, but you're not different. So
you do bicep curls, you get bigger biceps.
Exactly. So that just don't get stuck there like, oh, but this doesn't apply to me. It does. This is how you can move through.
Yeah. Jackie, Steph, you guys still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. One thing that I think I've noticed that a lot of people do is that they're so, and you kind of mentioned this at the beginning, is that they're so concerned about what other people are going to think or say, or they're just super embarrassed about presenting themselves out on video, in a webinar, all this stuff, and then that part is really what's holding them back, is their kind of just self-esteem issues, lack of self-worth issues, that kind of stuff that pop up that you don't even know that's what it is, because we're focusing on the perfectionism part, but really that's kind of what it is that you're just scared to put yourself out there. And one of the things, I always like to bring in a little bit of science into things, and just a second ago I was looking on my phone for the stats, but there's this thing called the spotlight effect. That's a literal scientific term that we oftentimes will way overestimate the amount of judgment that is being placed on us. Mm-hmm. And specifically when we're in situations that are like embarrassing, like for example, you can use it when people go to the gym for the first time, or a group fitness class for the first time. They think everybody's staring at them messing up the steps, or not lifting the little 3-pound weight or whatever, when really when they did the research on it, they realized that everybody else was just looking at themselves in the mirror and wasn't even paying attention to anybody else. And we can, yeah, exactly, that too. So we overestimate the amount of judgment that we're receiving by about 50%. So if you guys can just kind of grasp that and understand that, oh, this intense pressure that I'm feeling, it's actually, I'm doing it to myself. Nobody else is doing it. Totally. Yeah.
And then everyone else is doing that to themselves too. So we're all in our own heads worrying about what everyone else is thinking, and so no one's actually thinking about anyone but our own judgment of what other people are thinking about us.
Exactly. That's exactly what the study showed, was that we way overestimate the amount that people are actually judging what we're doing. Yeah.
Guys, if you want to put up mantras in front of your computer, or on your computer, like whatever, I think 2 of the good ones would be, you are enough just as you are. Okay? You're good enough for, you're here for a reason. And you're good enough, and that's awesome. And if you believe that, that's great. The second thing is, who cares, right? Who cares what other people think? And I'll share one of the scariest moments of my life, which actually happened to me a couple of years ago. As you guys know, I don't have any hair. I lost my hair when I was 17 to an autoimmune condition. Grew it back when I was in my early 20s. Went to the doctor a couple of years ago. She gave me a tetanus shot, which I didn't even question. I lost my hair within 2 weeks after that. So by this point, I'd built up a pretty big following online in the health space. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, what are people going to think of me now that I'm losing my hair again? Right? Are they going to think I'm a fraud? I don't actually practice what I preach, whatever. So I went through 2 years of putting a mask on, like a literal mask, which was using my wife's makeup to paint on eyebrows. And there are there's probably maybe 100 or so videos on YouTube of me with painted on eyebrows, and you can probably pick them out very quickly. But here's the thing, is that I, at the time, was so worried and fixated on what are other people going to think of me if this is going on. So I decided to make myself look even less normal by painting on my eyebrows. And at one point, I had an experience and some conversations that led me to say, you know what, screw this. And the scariest moment of my life that I can recall is shooting this video called My Coming Out Part 2. It's actually on YouTube. And I shot a video where there was hundreds of videos of me with these fake eyebrows, and then this next video was me with nothing. And I said, hey guys, here's the deal. Here's what's going on. And that was a very scary moment for me. And I just got to the point where what I recognize is trying to be perfect and trying to please other people is exhausting. It really, really is exhausting. And when you just allow yourself to be who you are and just say, you know what, here's who I am, take it or leave it. I used to have a girlfriend that used to tell me that all the time. It used to piss me off. I'm like, why do you keep saying this, take it or leave it all the time? But it's kind of true. It's like, some people are not going to resonate with you. Some people will. That's the way the world works. Who cares, right? and just be you, because as soon as you try to be someone you're not, you start attracting the wrong stuff into your life. And so that was a big lesson for me, was just like, you know what, I'm just going to be myself, and that's it. And the cool thing that happened as a result of that is that it gave other people permission to be themselves too. And that's really what I want you guys to understand is, as Jackie said, we're always striving to be better. We're striving to be excellent at what we do. We want to be masters of our craft. That's something that I think as entrepreneurs and the growth-oriented people is never going to change. But we also have to be completely okay with who we are and just being able to put ourselves out there, because there's going to be judgment. There's going to be people that say stuff. Who cares? They don't know you, right? Necessarily, if there are people on the interwebs and they're not part of your immediate circle, they don't know you. They don't know anything about you. So who cares what they say? If they're a client who's paid you good money and they're not completely satisfied with their experience, have a conversation with them. Maybe it's something that can be better about your program, or maybe they weren't a good fit for you in the first place. But the only way that's going to happen is by putting yourself out there. And it's scary, yes. It's uncomfortable, yes. But that's the only way we get to the promised land instead of living in webinar land, as Amy said. So, yeah. Jackie, you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Just want to make sure you're not dying away there in the black box. So I think we're obviously past the 30-minute mark here. So any kind of like final words of wisdom to help our audience here move forward with confidence, not worry about being perfect, anything that we haven't touched on that you want to leave them with?
Honestly, you're on the same wavelength as me. As you are enough, right? You have the tools, you have the background, you have the experience, you have a freaking framework, you have a team that's supporting you here. When you're in the Health Business Accelerator workshop, like, it's a rock star team. There's no excuses. You can try to make them up. We're going to call you out on that, but that's what we're here for. And just take action. You are enough. Take action every day, one little step, because life's going to happen, but staying in action is going to get you there much quicker. You're going to look back and be like, damn, I'm glad I started a year ago, right? Versus delaying or, stalling. And it can get tough because as healthpreneurs, we're usually solopreneurs too. But you have a team when you're part of the Health Business Accelerator workshop, which is cool.
Awesome. Great advice.
Awesome.
Amy, what about you?
I just always go back to action. That is the thing that has worked for me over the years. That is what, takes me out of anxiety, and just start. One last thought is, Seth Godin says it's important to have heroes. So instead of asking yourself, are coming, and we are here to support you. But as you've seen, you guys don't need us to hold your hand for every step, because you know what to do. So instead of saying, oh, I need to I have to wait for this answer, what should I do? Ask yourself what your hero would do, and then do that thing.
I love that question. That is such a great question, guys. It's a question I like to ask if I'm doing like kind of a brainstorm. I'm like, what would the Four Seasons do in this case, right? In terms of customer experience, or what would Tony Robbins do, or what would whoever your hero is, because it's sometimes we only know what we know, but if we now think of ourselves as what would Oprah do, right? What would this person do? That's a really powerful question. It's awesome. Steph, what about you? What's your parting thoughts or wisdom?
I just want to piggyback on what both Yuri and Jackie said, is that I think the more you that you can be, the more likely you are to attract your exact perfect match of a clientele. I call them soulmate clients, that it's almost like they are just so perfect for you, but they cannot find you if you don't show up, right? And if you don't go out there and tell them what you're doing and tell them what you're about with complete authenticity. And the more, I think right now too, and this is something that I don't think a lot of people realize, is that there's so many filters and perfectionism and perfect images and perfect that I think when people start to see people's flaws, right, we call them flaws, but really they're just authenticity. It's like a breath of fresh air. So I think the less perfect you are actually now, especially, the more you're going to actually stick out in a good way, because people are like, oh, thank God, someone who's actually telling the truth and being themselves, and they actually look the way they look in person as they do online, instead of like with all these filters and all this stuff, right? And filters are fun. I'm not knocking them, but I'm just saying that the more you that you can be, and the more you can step into feeling completely confident in the you that you are, the more those people can find you.
Awesome. Love it, guys. Mm-hmm. So if you're watching this, hope you're enjoying these sessions, because we're going to be bringing them to you every week. If you're listening to this on the podcast, because we're taking these audios and throwing them up on the Healthpreneur podcast, then hope you're enjoying this as well. And if you're watching this and you're not in our Luminaries or Health Business Accelerator group, and you'd like to work with us and really help you take your awesomeness, your expertise, and really serve clients at a higher level, then here's what I'd like you to do. Check out our free training. It's called the 7-Figure Health Business Blueprints. Head on over to healthpreneurgroup.com/training. Watch that webinar. Okay, just go through it. You'll get a much better sense of our philosophy, the way we work with our clients. And if it jives with you, then book a call with us. You'll be speaking to one of these amazing ladies, and they'll see if we're good fits to work together. And if we are, that's cool. And if not, we'll serve you at the very minimum at a really high level on the call as well. So that's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time. Jackie, Amy, Steph, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for all of you guys watching and tuning in. Hope you've enjoyed this. Remember, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to get it going. You are good enough, and no one cares. Or no one cares. Who cares what they think? Just do your thing and take action. We'll see you soon, guys.